Good morning, gentlemen. James here, and I find myself on this chilly, windy day out in a vacant lot in my town. Reason for that is we're gonna go ahead and review this knife. Now, this is the Cold Steel GI Tanto blade sent to me by Leo from Irish Zombie Nation. Now, this knife is it's kind of a new knife for me to test because I've never had cold steel blades. I've never used them. I've never used a Tanto blade before, and it's made out of 5160 carbon steel, which I've never used that blade before. So it's going to be a learning curve for me, but yeah, we're going to review this knife. Now, first impressions, I've never used this knife. It's definitely not a knife I personally would use. It's just I'm the more boring bushcrafter with the Mora knives and Kephart knives. But, you know, let's review this knife. I think this knife can be a good beater knife. Something, you know, that you don't care how it looks, you know, just that big burly knife. Not your main pocket knife, not your main belt knife, but just something for the heavy, ugly chores. So, okay, first things first. Just by the layout, by the design, I can tell that it's not a bushcraft knife. It's not going to excel at that. It's not going to excel at processing game, for example, something I do quite often. It's not going to be good at that. It's not going to be good at any bushcraft tasks, to be honest. This is more of a tactical knife. It's a fighting knife. So say, you know, the Empire is invading your rebel base on Hoth. You use this to, you know, hack at them. Or you're deployed in Afghanistan, whatever the case may be. So, it's tactical. Now, I'm not in a war situation, so that video might have to wait. But I think it could be something of a useful knife for prying and things along those lines. So it's not an urban survival knife. If you are in an urban shit hits the fan scenario, you kind of want to be subtle. You don't want to draw too much attention, and walking around with this on your hip or, you know, out, it's going to draw attention. So I would keep this in my backpack, but it can help you out. Things along, so we're in the slot, and we're going to make a shelter. Say, for example, you're a homeless man, and you're wandering from town to town, and, you know, it's really cold, it's really windy out here, so we're just going to make just a shelter out of garbage. So wooden boards and cardboard and tape, things along those lines. We're going to use this knife, and we're just going to get that started. So for now, we're going to use this knife, and all my other knives can take a day off. So no Alti-Right today, no Wenger Swiss Army knife today, no boot knife, and no Victorinox. So these guys are going to take the day off, and we're just going to use this for the testing. Let's get started. Okay, so what I've decided to do is make a shelter against the rock wall. So it's just basically a lean-to. Now, this is going to be the main frame of our beams, of our roof beams. It's this very large piece of wood that was just discarded. And I'm going to just do some chopping. Now, realistically, guys, I don't chop with knives. If you're going to need that, you just get a saw. I always have a saw on me, but we're testing this blade out. So we're going to just chop this through right here, and then just chop another side. So I have 3 big boards. Now, before I start, there is a slight, the very edge of the blade, up here at the very tip, it goes this way. It's off to the left a little bit. Not too noticeable, but just, that's the way I received it. So just heads up. And it's fairly sharp. So let's see how the chopping goes. Okay, so here's the basic concept, so you can just get the basic idea before we get started. We just have this rock wall, and we're just here in an empty lot, and I'm just going to use these 3 boards I found, and they're basically going to be the foundation for the lean-to. So we're just going to fill all this stuff, we're just going to cover this, and this is going to be my entrance for me to just sleep. So it's going to be a small fit. It's not going to be it's not going to be the most comfortable place to sleep in, but it'll keep us warm from the winds, the snow. You know, just it's winter, so it's really bad weather, and it's not designed for some permanent shelter where I'm not going to live here. And this is just a, just to stay for a night or two, and then from there just get, move on from here. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, these rocks, we'll just make sure these wooden beams stay here. That carpet's gonna be for me, so it's more comfortable, keep me a little warmer. But I think the Tanto can work well as a prying tool. Now it's obviously no pry bar, but in a pinch, let's see how that helps out. Now, cardboard isn't the best when you're building a house, obviously, because it's just so flimsy and the elements get to it easily. But just for a couple days, this will help. It's gonna help you out in a pinch for a temporary shelter. And this knife, it's actually holding a decent edge. I'm really putting it through its paces, and the back part. Now it's not going to be perfect, it's not going to be a perfect seal. There's still going to be a little bit of pockets of air coming in through from the wind, but I will use this space blanket and lay it down here so inside my heat just keeps reflecting. So that's about the final form of the shelter. Space blanket over there. I have a rug down here. A hobo stove to keep some fire and cook my supper. for the sake of, you know, cooking some supper and for warmth, I'm going to use that hobo stove. And I'm going to just try some batoning. Now this knife, as we talked about earlier, and as you've seen in the past review with Leo, it's not ideally designed for bushcraft. It's not really designed for that. It's a tactical knife. It's a fighting knife. But I'm fairly certain it can baton at least some soft wood, just so we can have some kindling for the night. So yeah, not too shabby, not too bad. I was actually expecting a lot worse from this knife, so I guess I should just give it a little credit, because yeah, I was really expecting to not like this knife, but still not my favorite knife. What it is performing a lot better than what I was originally, my first impressions were. Is still pretty good. Still working. Okay guys, well I'm getting ready to just hunker down for the night. Now I already have my hobo stove going with the fire. It is a little bit far, but that's because I don't want it to be too close and risk burning the cardboard and the wood and things like that. So, final thoughts on this knife. It performed a lot better than I thought it would, honestly. My first impressions were this knife was going to be a hunk of junk, you know, something more of a novelty, you know, for kids, but it did a lot better. Now, obviously, it cut cardboard and it baton, you know, the basic knife things, cut tape. If your knife can't do that, then it's not a knife. But it was also, this knife was also, it impressed me with its prying abilities. You could pry with any knife, but you could probably break it or chip it, and it's something that I wouldn't want to do with a knife that I prize a lot more, that I baby a lot more. Say my LT right knife. You could probably pry, but I don't want to risk injuring it, breaking it, things like that. This one I don't care, because I think it's a beater knife, and everyone should have a beater knife. My personal beater knife is this USMC K-bar knockoff that I got from Bud K when I was a kid, and I still have it. You don't really see me with it in videos because I don't use it that often, and I don't particularly like the way it, you know, it is, but I still have it. I have it at home right next to my hammer for those down and dirty jobs. So I think everyone should have a beater knife. I think if all you can do is get this and a Swiss Army knife, I think that's a good balance for like an urban survival situation. Now, if it is urban survival, hide this. Don't be walking around with this in your hip, and you know, you're attracting attention from police, or just getting bad attention. So it did work well. I don't think it's probably the best knife, the most ergonomic. I think if you save your money, you could probably get something a little bit better quality, like a Gerber strong arm. But in a pinch, it did work. Now, it helped me with this shelter. Now, honestly, the shelter was 80% imagination and 20% the knife itself. I think it's very prevalent in the outdoors community. I see that, oh, I'm going to the woods and I have this insert name brand knife, and then I'm gonna use my insert name brand pack and my, and it's great. We live in a great time. We can order things from the other side of the world and get them here in a week. But imagination is the most important tool a human being can have. It's what got us here. And I think that's something that's very overlooked nowadays. So I think that's something that I really want to, keep going. And I understand this is a review video, so that's kind of ironic that I'm saying this. But even when I make reviews, guys, I'm always still trying to teach people. I don't want to just do the basic things. I don't want to be a car salesman, so to speak. I still want to teach things, so make the review interesting, but at the same time, have fun with it. So that's the conclusion of this video, guys. I'm gonna send this out to another guy from the Outdoors Arena, and he's gonna test it out. So I hope you like this video. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up if you like this. Subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you guys next week. Now go outside and get your boots dirty.